Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Um, I'd like to discuss another topic to go in the archive in my playlist about the African American Muslim communities. There is no balance. There is no balance in the African American Muslim community. And with saying that there is no balance in the African American Muslim community in America, is that when we look into the communities and the situations in the African American Muslim communities, meaning the masajid or masjids that are predominantly Black American, is that you find within their communities there is no balance. And this type of balance, what I mean, is related to dunya matters, and deen matters, right? The dunya matters and the deen matters. So when it comes to the dunya affairs and the deen affairs, that you'll find that in some masjids they're not focusing on deen. Unfortunately, in some African American Muslim masjids, I made a video recently where I discussed about a lot of African American masjids. They don't have Quran. They don't have Quran classes. The people there don't know how to recite the Quran. They're not learning to memorize the Quran and have no understandings of the Quran. And then one of my associates who sent me a message last night said he was in Salatul Taraweeh in a predominantly all Black American masjid in New Jersey, and the Imam was reading from the Quran, and he still had mistakes with him, even in Fatiha. He said he recited in Surah Fatiha, yani instead of Dolin, he said Bolin. He said he kept on making this mistake in Fatiha. And he said even though he was reading from the Mus'haf, he's still reciting with mistakes. And this is unfortunately what I was talking about in my video, how a lot of the Muslims in African American masjid are not connected to the Quran. The next part is talking about dunya matters, right? Now, some communities, there's no balance. For example, I know some masjids in African American Muslim community, they claim or proclaim they are teaching Islam or teaching religion, right? But everybody in the community is poor. No one in the community are focusing on economics or finances, not from the Islamic perspective. They're not even talking about Islamic economics from the dunya understanding from America's system. No one's making money, even from an Islamic perspective of business transaction of doing business. They're still not practicing economics, but they were claiming in this community that they're focusing on just deen. They're just focusing on teaching people deen, not knowing that economics and finances is part of the deen. Economics and finances is part of the deen, because the best means to make money is by your own hands. This is a principle that's understood in Islam. Doing for self, being your own business partner. I mean, being a businessman or going to a business in partnership with somebody, right? This is very understood in Islamic finances and fiqh. So they're not even chasing or learning about the dunya. We're not even learning about how to get the dunya from even the Islamic perspective, and they would claim their masjid or their community is just focused on deen. So we have these two scenarios in an African American Muslim community where either they're lacking in Islamic knowledge altogether or they're lacking in finances. The Muslims in the community are poor. No one knows how to get money. No one knows how the people in the community can get money collectively as a community. So either or is they don't have the dunya or they don't have the deen. It's either or. And this is where I find a lot of African American masajid and communities, there is no balance, saved a few. Saved a few. There is no balance. There is no balance. I know a masjid right now I could go to is all Black American. All they talk about is dunya, 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 dunya. And even the masjid has a mortgage. The masjid has a mortgage. And when I go to the masjid, sometimes the door is closed for a salat. Sometimes the door is closed for the salat, for the 5 salat a day. The masjid is not even open. And this is one of these masjids, a War of Deen masjid. I'm gonna be blunt. I don't hold my tongue back. It's the War of Deen masjid. This masjid is a War of Deen masjid, right? One day we went there for the salat, and it had some people inside the masjid on the musalla taking tests. They were from non-Muslim. Some of them were like lesbians, and they was hugging the lover on the musalla, the gay lover on the musalla, and people there lining up to make the salat, and they got some people taking tests in there, and they had the gay lovers on the musalla hugging each other, playing around the musalla, and the people gathered to the masjid to pray. And what's worse? The imam came right behind us and say, "Hey man, I'm closing the masjid. I have to go somewhere." He didn't even establish the salat. He didn't even establish the salat, the fard salat that people was collecting and gathering in the masjid to pray. He said, "Yeah, guys gotta go. They gotta go." This is a masjid in New York, a War of Deen masjid, and it had two lesbians rolling around on the floor. So when it comes to the deen, we now have no knowledge of the deen. And then to the other extreme, no knowledge of the deen. And the other extreme, not even getting the dunya from Islamic perspective. Or the masjid don't have no dunya. I know other masajid that I ran into even claim to be people of Salafi or Salafi Dawah. And no one there understands finances. No one in the masjid understands Islamic finances or anything about any finances. They don't understand how to do anything. Even from the basics of knowing how to give a 501c3. So no one in the community know how to get money. And then the people who claiming they on deen and teaching people deen, they in actuality, when you observe them and you look at them deeply, they themselves don't even have deen. They don't understand deen from the Islamic perspective. There's a lot of blind following. So something that we lack in our community, that we don't have balance. This is very prominent known in African American Muslim communities, that there is no balance save a few communities or masjids. Save a few. When it comes to Quran and learning the religion, a lot of the masajid from the African Americans, they're not preserving the Quran. They're not preserving their religion. They're not preserving the Islam and the Islamic teachings, and they're not preserving the Quran. And then you'll find from those same communities, they'll talk about dunya and getting money and focus on dunya. And then when you observe, even when they claim they're focusing on dunya, they focus on the dunya related to the things that are haram and prohibited in Islam. They are fully engaged in the haram means of making money or finances. They are fully engaged in everything that is haram from finances. And they don't even have a clue what is permissible and not permissible. So they're getting money by any means. في أي مكان في أي مكان أي طريق. They don't care about whether the tariq is halal or haram. They get the means of making money by أي means, by أي طريق, halal or haram. They don't care. They don't have the understanding of Islam or Islamic teachings, even related to finances. And then the masters who claim to be on the religion, on Kitab and Sunnah, you'll find in their communities, they also are lacking. They don't even understand Islamic finances or how to utilize their numbers, their religion, and the little means they have or money they have, how to grasp halal means of wealth and finance. And you'll find that their masjid is struggling just to stay open. In many cases, these type of masjids, they close down because the people in the community don't have the means of finances or money to keep the so-called masjid or Islamic center open, where they claim they want to be establishing the deen and teach Islam. They themselves don't even know how to use the Islam and their numbers to make halal means of finances together. There's no balance. That's the sign that our people have no balance. Al-Islam al-Din al-Wusta, yani is the middle path. Islam, we recognize you have to understand the deen, and we understand you have to have some means of making money, finances. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself was a merchant. He was a merchant. Abu Bakr, merchant. Uthman, Uthman, who was a very famous Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and who was married to two of the daughters of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Uthman was a wealthy man. So the companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam understood Islamic finances, how to get money in the halal means. But we look into the African American Muslim community, especially here in the West, is like no balance, no balance. The masjid of people who claim are educated and have money and jobs, when you look in their community, the way they make money is from the haram means. They don't even care if it's halal or haram. They get the money by any means necessary, whether it's halal, halal, or tariq haram. They don't care. Even if it's halal or haram, they don't care. I once was in a community many years ago where the masjid, the people had money in this masjid, but they didn't want to put the finances into the community. And one of the people who was running the community was a jazz musician. They made a living off of music. And one day I looked, I was like, how you have an imam who's making a living off of music? This is for a living. And then I look into the finances. He's the only one paying for the masjid's bills. And the other Muslims in the community have finances that's halal, and they don't want to even spend the money on maintaining the masjid. This is the condition of African American Muslims. Not all cases, but in a lot of communities I bump into here and there, I do notice these things. There's no balance. Then you have some communities in the African American Muslim community where the people have finances, whether they have a career that's lawful, the people have money, the people have access to wealth, they put their money together to keep the community open, but they have no one inside the masjid trained in Islamic sciences and teachings. They have no one trained in Islamic sciences and teaching. So every Jummah come, the Imam, whoever the Khatib, he cannot recite the Book of Allah. He cannot recite Surah Al-Fatiha properly. The khutbah does not meet the objective of what a khutbah is in Islam. And even though they have the finances, they have the money, people in the community have money, but they're not using the money or their wealth to what? Make sure people have proper education of Islam. Like I said, no balance. This is a sign of no balance. It's a sign, no balance. You have the means, you have the money, then you should hire an imam that has qualifications. Not people come every Jumu'ah or here and there and freestyling their religion what they think is right. Or the person who have the highest education in dunya knowledge or a secular academics, he's more qualified to give the khutbah when he doesn't know nothing about Islam. Having studied Islam on the professional level. Goes back to no balance. There needs to be a balance for the Muslim when it comes to the dunya and when it comes to the deen. There is a balance. We cannot ignore the other. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك واشهد ان لا اله الا انت واستغفرك واتوب اليك.